Hello everybody and welcome back to my before Season 4 versus after Season 4 series of ground combat comparisons. So here we have my engineer, as you saw in just my previous video where I was doing a little bit of current before Season 4 hits, the way ground combat's basically been all along. And now obviously we're going to see a little bit of what it's turning into, or what it's going to turn into. Actually, the scheduled release date for Season 4 on holodeck on the live server is still, as far as I know, July 7th. We're actually sort of getting down to the wire here. By the time most of you guys see this, it'll probably be the 2nd, which means it's only 5 more days. And before I really get started, one thing I do want to show, just to make sure that you can see it and not have me in the middle of a battle or anything like that where you miss it or something, is the main thing is I'm going to pop a drone here and pop my seeker drone because it takes less time to recharge. On holodeck, on live, the way it's always been, you pop one of these drones as an engineer and you just kind of get this, I don't know, it looks almost like if you've ever seen like one of those Roombas, those automatic vacuum cleaners that we have these days. It almost looks like one of those that floats around and has a phaser on the front of it, and the seeker drone had little saw blades type of thing going. What they are now is they look a lot like the little autonomous robots from some episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and they were called exocomps. So I'm just going to bring out my seeker drone, and it's a little tiny one of these exocomp things. So it's I think they look much cooler. See, it has exo on it, and actually has mako on the side, and you can see little shark teeth are painted on the bottom of it like an old school fighter plane or something. So that's the seeker drone. The support drone actually has, looks similar, but has the Starfleet Corps of Engineers, SFCE, on there, and it has yellow instead of red. And the seeker drone now, sorry, the support drone now, is actually more of a support drone. It won't just chill and fire a wide beam phaser. It actually has some engineering powers on it. It'll actually give you, I don't know if it has shield recharge. It might have quick fix. It has a few, engineering buffs that it will automatically give you if you need them, which I think is really neat. It actually is a support drone. It supports you. You actually get to see a little bit of drones doing their thing there. Provided my bridge officers don't just mash everything to begin with. Actually, I think, yeah, my seeker drone probably left during the middle of that battle because I had spawned him so soon, or so long ago, I should say. So, since I wasn't in the new style Season 4 shooter mode, I'm going to get into shooter mode. I'll try this again. For those of you unfamiliar, I'm doing the mission called Asset Recovery. It's nearly end game. It's the Rear Admiral lower half leveled mission. Enemies are 6 levels below me, so it actually is quite easy for me at this point. But I mean, I'm trying to show you just how the mechanics work, how engineers can expect their gameplay to change. Your Phaser Turret 3 is now called a Phaser Burst Turret 3, and it actually will fire burst shots like that. Quantum Mortar is going to drop on this drone over here. I think you saw that in my TAC video. Quantum Mortar just destroyed that heavy TAC. If he'd had no shields, it would have been over for him, and it's almost over for me too, because I'm not paying attention. Hit up my Blast Assault, send this guy away a little bit. Oh, I already did lose a bridge officer, and they've adapted to my weapons. So let's switch it up to my compression pistol. I'm really kind of using a mix of weapons that I generally do not currently use on the regular live server. I have a Blast Assault weapon, which I really like Blast Assault weapons, but the rate of fire currently in the current game is just way too slow. Whereas now they will actually... I'm not sure if it's actually any faster, but I think it feels a little faster because it's more shooter style. You're just using your left mouse button, and it's more... It feels more connected. The overall feel of it is better. You click a button and it fires your gun, as opposed to hitting a button on your keyboard or clicking a button down on the bottom bars and then it sort of taking half a second. It's all there's a lot less delay in activating your powers, and it just overall everything feels way better. And that's them taken care of. I should remodulate my weapons as well. Thank you, Takara, for reminding me. For those of you that missed the tactical video where you saw a bunch of that, the Borg, since I'm fighting the Borg again, will adapt to your weapons, and in the current Tribble build, because this always gets tweaked up and down and left and right every couple of days, in the current Tribble build, they do this rather frequently. Like, you're talking 3-4 good shots until you've got to run away or get into cover and remodulate, or at least switch your weapon. As long as you have weapons of 2 different energy types, you'll be okay, because they'll adapt to, say, your disruptors. And then you can switch to, like, I have my anti-protons, and then you'll get a couple more shots. But then both your weapons will be shot. They'll have adapted to both of them, and then you really have to run away and adapt. Or remodulate, I should say, and then you kind of start the process all over again. Drop some turrets, drop a phaser burst turret. I'm actually not sure. I haven't seen any lower level kits to really see what phaser turret 1 and 2 does anymore. Because the turret 3 is as a burst mode. It kind of acts almost like a minigun. And that's pretty awesome. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. The phaser turret 1 might just be like a standard beam like we're used to seeing, and maybe the turret 2 does something else marginally cool. I really don't know. I'd have to have a look at the lower level kits. And I don't have any lower level characters, so I haven't really gotten around to it. So anyway, as I said in the pre-season 4 video that I just uploaded the other day, Zran here and Theros, whatever their Antorian names, I don't know how to pronounce them, both have Phaser Turret 3 to go with my Phaser Turret 3. So there's 3 Phaser Burst Turret 3s coming onto the battlefield all at once, plus my newly wicked awesome Quantum Mortar, which now does tons of damage. And overall, it becomes a lot easier for engineers to do a lot of damage themselves. One more thing I haven't shown you yet, because I haven't woken these Borg up yet, is going to be the Orbital Strike, which I might have even mentioned, because it is fairly exciting, really, before all these guys die. I'm just going to call down an Orbital Strike right there. That's not an Orbital Strike. When I call down an Orbital Strike right there in their position, everything's going to go boom. Notice how only that one survived, and not for long. You also notice some of the numbers that came up, because this current Tribble build, they've rejiggered the font. The numbers are a lot bigger, a lot easier to see. And if you're not watching this in full screen HD goodness, you'll still probably be able to see that I was rocking some of those guys for like 700 damage on an Orbital Strike, which I'll admit I have never seen on the current live version of the game. I've seen some 300s, maybe even 400s on a fully spec'd out, on an engineer who's spec'd for the ground, who has whatever points are required to have a maximum awesome Orbital Strike, and that's on an exposed enemy, because Orbital Strike is an exploit attack, whereas that was just my normal shot, was just rocking these guys. The normal non-exposed enemies just chilling there, otherwise totally ready to fight, not stunned, not exposed. And I dropped an Orbital Strike on him for 700 damage, and I'm not even spec'd into it. I have, I'll show you, in fact. Go down to my engineering officer. I've got a 4 in maintenance training, and I've got a 4 in modification training. So one of those has to work on orbital strike. So I have that. I have a 4 in modification training, which is affecting my orbital strike. I have nothing in combat engineer, and I have nothing in field logistics. So I'm getting 14 bonus stat points, as you can see here on this little window on the right, which I've just moved. Out of a possible 100, I'm getting 14 stat points into my orbital strike. So I'm a little scared to see what a fully spec'd orbital strike would do to an exposed enemy. I wouldn't be surprised if I one day saw 2,000 from an orbital strike, from a really properly timed orbital strike, which is sort of scary because I'm used to it dealing 50, 60 damage, maybe 100 or maybe 200 or 300 if they're exposed. If you get a critical, maybe you'll get 350, 400. Really, it's just not a high damage attack as far as anyone's used to. And now it does all sorts of damage. And they've adapted to my disruptors again, so I'll just destroy them with my anti-proton compression pistol. And a lot of the pistols have a much higher rate of fire now too on the primary function, which makes pistols have the highest DPS in the game, I think. At least if you're breaking it down by pistols versus rifles versus assault weapons. So I'll do just a little bit more here. Get the turrets out, do the whole shebang, bring everything in. We'll all have a real good time. Get that guy's attention. Still, damn. Remodulate my weapons, which, I'll be honest, sometimes it's a bit of a buzzkill, like just then. But you know, that's what orbital strike is for. Ooh, lots of dead pork, all of a sudden. Ooh, lots more dead pork. So, an engineer with a blast assault weapon is going to do a lot of great things, especially if they're spec'd for ground. Their mortar will do insane damage. Well, their mortar, I should say, will do insane damage. Their phaser turret will do insane damage. Their medical generator will do insane healing. My unspec'd medical generator 3 heals for it's like 12 or 15 hit points per tick, which, okay, it's not great when you think about it, but let me remind you that I now have only 506 HP instead of 812. And the old medical generators heal for like 3 a tick while they're unspec'd. So a 5-fold increase in healing and like a 30% reduction in the amount that I need to get healed means a medical generator is going to be worth a whole lot more when in this new system of ground combat. It's just going to be a lot more valuable. Shield generators too, which I have always thought to be completely useless, now actually do a pretty decent amount of shield healing. See if I can drop a bunker fabrication kit in there so that I can get my hands on a shield generator. So I'll drop my support drone, and I'll drop my healing generators. And phaser turret. And off we go. Adaptation. Let's try the anti-proton pistol. We've adapted to that too. Let's remodulate. So, what it really comes down to is that engineers will gain the ability to tank a lot better. I've never noticed shield generators actually ever healing or doing anything to my shields. With the new shield generator fabrication, as you can see down here at the bottom, my unspec'd Mark 9, keep in mind I could have a level 50 generator which would do a little better. I have a level 45 generator. Heals me for 9.2 shields per second. Reduces damage to my shields by 20%. 9.2 shield generation per second, again, doesn't sound like a whole lot. But again, I'll remind you that I now only have 325 shields. And that is with a Mark 10 personal shield capacity times 3. So that is, I mean, short of getting a personal shield Mark 11 capacity times 3, which I don't know if you can... I'm not sure if those exist. Let's have a look. Let's have a look-see. Personal shields down the bottom. Yes, you can. So you can get one of those, which gives you 345, and technically at this point, if you're really, really lucky, you could loot a Mark 12 capacity times 3, which sounds like it would give you 365. So 325 divided by 10, you know, that's regenerating my shield from totally dead in 30 seconds. If it didn't regenerate on its own, and if I didn't have to route power to shields, and if I didn't have bridge officers with shield recharge. 2 of them. So really, the shield generator becomes actually helpful. It's not going to, like, keep you alive all on its own. And neither is the medical generator. The medical generator is going to heal you for 13 a second. So, they're not going to make you invincible. But they are at least going to do something, which is a change, and it's a welcome one as far as I'm concerned. I think playing an engineer on the ground is going to be a lot more exciting. It's going to be a lot more rewarding, I think, because you can either have actual effective healing turrets now, whereas before you just didn't. Your healing turrets straight up weren't effective. Or you can drop in some of these, like an equipment technician, and have some super awesome... I have a very particular way I arrange this. You know, it's Shield Recharge 3 isn't even what it used to be. Because again, there's less shields, so you're going to heal less shields. That makes sense. It's a balance thing. But, you know, if you have somebody else who's dropping these healing turrets, you no longer need 3 engineers on a special task force mission, or raid, whatever you want to call it. You don't need 3 medical generators. You can have 1 that will do the work of 5 medical generators, as we're used to seeing them. So, if you're okay with being a little short on force field domes, which, again, you can get around with a tactical officer who's smart, giving his tactical initiative to the engineer to let him pop his force field dome that much more often, you can have other engineers with you running something like an equipment technician, where they can fuse armor or use weapons malfunction to debuff the enemy. And they're also expose attacks. It's extra expose attacks that you're not used to your engineer having. And shield recharge is insanely good. You know, engineers have always been able to heal their own shields and route power to shields 3. If you're actually freed up where you can use an equipment technician kit because your one other engineer has a bunker fabrication, and that's probably all you're going to need, you can run Shield Recharge 3, and you can be a shield medic, which will take a lot of pressure off of a science officer, especially if you've only got 1 on your raid group, your 5-man group. You're a shield medic, which takes pressure off of them being the actual medic, the HP medic. Which overall I think will just make for a much more enjoyable experience, especially for the groups that have a little bit of trouble with the raids. You know, maybe you don't have anybody in your fleet that is really incredibly experienced with raids. You're just kind of a bunch of raid noobs, if you'll pardon the expression. No insult intended to you people who aren't good at raids or aren't experienced at raids. But, you know, you've got nobody who knows what to do, so you're all kind of winging it. And that always means you're just going to take a bit more of a beating than you normally would. And if you have the freedom as an engineer on that team to run an equipment diagnostics kit, for example, you can have this awesome Shield Recharge 3. You're basically doing reroute power to Shields 3 to somebody else. Or, you know, if you don't have to run the Force Field Dome, you can run what my old standby primary kit that I actually went and got an expensive version of, the Fabrication Specialist. You can drop a Quantum Mortar, which now does insane damage. And all in all, just the options for engineers, even in something a little more serious like a raid, are a lot more open. Not everybody has to bring a force field dome. Not everybody has to bring that bunker fabrication kit. The options are more open, which makes engineering gameplay, I think, more fun, because you can try different stuff, you can mix it up, you can wing it a little, and you won't pay for it with your life, like you probably will by not bringing a force field dome for your team as it currently is on a raid. So anyway, that's about it. Otherwise, I'll be here all night and you'll be there all day watching. So again, thank you very much for watching. I'll hope to get the science one up very soon. And until then, I will see you later.